we may have all at some point in our lives exhibited tendencies to be a people pleaser.
Yes.
I,
Hmm.
I mean, I can speak for myself. Yeah, I definitely was like that with parents and certain
Hmm.
friendships. Again, the lines were different for different types of relationships, but
Right. Yeah.
I I saw that in myself at times.
Yeah, I agree. Because it's going back to thinking about the types of people that we tend to people please, and you mentioned parents, and I feel like that's one of the bigger ones. You know, parents and
Hmm.
extended family members, especially within our culture. It's we are conditioned to appease all of these our elders at some level,
Yep. Yep.
and we never want to disappoint, so we're always seeking approval. And
Right.
especially when parents or aunts or uncles, they like to compare you to others. Well,
Oh yes, yes. I
your
don't care about
cousin,
my primo. Like, I hope he's fine. Thank God. Praise God. But leave me alone. He
he will
are
be
not the
able
same
to
people.
do.
She and I are not the same people.
Or
Like,
your
stop.
sister. Why can't you be more like your sister? Or why can't you be
Because I'm
more
not.
like? And
I
I think
mean,
that's where it really starts, because then you're setting yourself up to really work at trying to please these individuals because you want
hmm,
their approval of who you are. And I think that's
right.
a battle, and we'll get into that later on. But it's it's interesting to see how people pleasing interjects itself throughout life.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you'll be able to identify that in yourself as we go through and talk through what are some of those characteristics. What does that look like, whether it's in yourself or when you see that in others? And so you brought up the constant need for approval. And that's
Hmm.
absolutely true. Whether it's in a romantic relationship or a familial relationship, there's that, or friendship, or you just want to make sure that you're getting approval from external people that don't even know you well, but you're just like,
Right.
no, I have to, it's a
Prove
facade. I don't
myself.
know. But
Right. Right.
it's this constant need for approval. And again, the theme of prioritizing the needs and desires of others over their own.
Hmm.
Always. And I've known people like that where they're like constantly so busy because they're doing, if it's not for their kids, it's for their parents or it's for their siblings. Look, I love you to the ends of this earth, this realm, the next realm, all dimensions, sister. Same for my parents.
Right.
But here's what I'm not going to do. Like, I
What are
just
you not
can't.
going to do?
What I'm
Please
not
tell
going to
us.
do is prioritize all of y'all stuff and not prioritize my stuff. Because if I'm not happy, you're not going to have a happy Damaris helping you out. And so I need to,
You don't
like,
love us. You don't love us.
I do, but not to my detriment. No, I love
No.
me the most. That facts. Like, this is no disrespect to anyone, but I have to love me the most. No
Yes.
one else
Yeah.
is going to. And so I think some of that people pleasing, this putting other people's priorities outside of their own, and this is especially when it comes to mothers and their kids, this
Hmm.
is so ingrained in women and especially in Latino families and a lot of Caribbean families. This level of you don't move unless those things, you've done everything for your kid. And that's not realistic, because what's going to happen is that you're going to burn out, you're going to be filled with regrets, you're going to be constantly annoyed, you're going to be tired, angry, hangry, and you're like, "Oh, but my kids are great." What? But now you're not good
What
for your
about
kids because
you?
you're biting off their heads. So, these are some of the impacts of being a people pleaser, right? But, what are some other characteristics?
Well, I think it goes along the lines of what you were talking about, but not disappointing other
Mhm.
people. I think you don't want to um, you don't want to feel, I'll say this, you want to try to avoid conflict.
Right. Yep.
Right? It's like you don't
So
want
difficulty
to,
saying no.
right? Not saying no, or feeling like you have to always have
Hmm.
a reason. You remember how Papa used to always come up with some crazy, just tell them X, Y, and Z. And we used to
Yeah,
say,
he loved the
let's just,
backstory.
yeah,
I'm like,
that's
just
like,
say no, Poppy. You're not gonna
you
do
don't,
it.
you don't need to have like a whole story as to why you can't do something. And I think we fall into that trap, right? It's like, no, it's just not enough. And so we
And
don't
no
want
is
to
a complete statement, though.
it
No
is.
is a
It is. But
complete sentence. Period.
right, right. But because we don't want to disappoint the person
Hmm.
that's asking
Yeah.
us to do something, whatever that may be, and you're like, you really want to do it, but you're like, oh, what reason could I give them for them to be okay with my no? They don't
I
have
like
to
to
be
treat it. I
okay.
like to treat these types of scenarios like as if I'm speaking to a prosecutor trying to trap me, and they ask me the question, and I just say no.
Just answer the
I answer
question.
yes
Yes.
or no, no more. I provide no more
Don't
context. Now,
give.
if you want the
Yes.
context, you'll have to ask me,
Right,
but I
right.
don't. But I'm not obligated to give that to you,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
And again, I'll always provide context depending on the scenario. It's not
Right.
like I'm just like, oh, now
No.
bitch.
Exactly.
No, I'm just saying I'm judicious about when I feel I have to. And there are times where it's just a no because I just don't feel like it. And if my body says no, I have to respect my body above anyone else because no one feels what I feel
Yeah.
except for me.
Yeah, but it's again, no, it doesn't
Hmm.
mean that you have to just say no or give a reason every time you speak to someone. But it's the whole idea that whatever your reason is, that you feel
Right.
it's not good enough, right? You had said, if I'm tired, I'm going to say no. Sometimes people won't say, I'm tired, I can't do that, I
Right.
just want to sleep in, or whatever the case may
It's
be.
like they feel
They feel
guilty
like it,
again because
right?
they
They
don't want to
feel
disappoint.
guilty, and because they think that being tired is so trivial because you should be doing everything
Hmm.
in all that's on your plate at whatever given time, that people feel that guilt of, oh, well, I'm not going to be doing anything. I'm just going to be laying here on my couch watching some Netflix or something. Not, that's okay. You don't
Right.
have
Because you're
to.
decompressing.
And we all need that. We all need that moment. I yesterday, or well, earlier this morning, I have a whole bunch of stuff that I have to do, and I felt myself becoming anxious because it's like everything is due at the same, like literally like around the same time,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And
That's
it's
how I feel
like,
about this podcast right now. I'm like, y'all got me tired, but I love it.
and no, yes, and so I had to sit back and say, okay, you can't do everything, and you're just gonna have to let people know, like,
Right.
you won't get it on such and such day, but I'll get it to you this,
It's
you
coming.
know, right?
It's
I,
coming.
I'm trying to work with you, but work with me as well,
Right.
because I already felt myself like it's Sunday
Hmm.
and work week is about to
You
start,
had to
and
be honest.
yes, and I was just like, okay, this is way too much. This is way too much. Let me take a step back because I already feel it. And I know that that's a struggle for a lot of people, and why they always saying yes, 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 because they're putting all this stuff on their plate, knowing full well they're not leaving any room for
Hmm.
themselves, because we
Yeah, it's
all have to decompress. We all have to
right.
kind of take a moment to refresh and be ready for the next task. We just can't always like an energizer bunny,
Yeah, you can't
always on
neglect
the
your
go.
personal needs.
Mm-mm.
And I remember, and some people are just not in a space to hear that. Because I
Yeah.
remember telling someone that I knew that was going through something and they're, dealing with um, personal family issues that can be overwhelming. And you and I, having gone through what we did those last few years while Papi was alive and his health just declining, I shared with this person, I said, hey, just make sure you take care of yourself, right? Like make
Mhm.
sure, because it's so easy to prioritize, you know,
Yes.
the needs of a parent that you love, like for us, seeing them decline, and you put everything towards that. And but there needs to be a balance too, because what are you doing to ensure that your needs are met?
Mhm.
And the needs are not like, oh, you look like you haven't taken a bath in a week, or, your hair looks a mess. I'm talking about spiritual needs, like mental needs, emotional needs. Like,
Yeah,
when do you stop? When do you take a
do
moment
that.
to decompress?
Yeah.
When do you take a moment to unravel the things that are going on in your head and just be still? When do you
Mhm.
take that moment to listen to the creator? Because you can't if you're constantly thinking about what's the next thing I have to do for XYZ person. But
Yes.
not everyone's here for that, because when I shared that, I got a response of, I feel like you're trying to say something to me. I'm like, yes, take care of yourself. And I'm
'Cause
I'm
I
not,
know how that
but
is. Yeah.
that's when I was just like, okay, you know what, God, the person that needs to hear my message will hear my message. It'll resonate with them if it's meant to resonate with them.
Right, right.
So, with that said, as we always say, our message is consistent here. There's a lot of noise out there. Stop getting distracted by the smoke and mirrors, and tune out the noise and focus on your purpose in life. We're meant to be joyful. So focus on that and vibrate higher. And always, thank you for listening.